Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Carver Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. Our first order of business tonight, based on our agenda, is wall construction at 201 Tremont Street. So I'd like to have representatives please sign in.
Do I need to hold this down? Do I need to hold that down? No, okay. For the record, my name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental. I'm a professional wetland scientist and soil scientist. I'm here tonight with Mr. Danny Warren with DR Warren Enterprises Limited Partnership, the applicant. I'm also here with Rob DeRoja from ASAP Engineering. We're here tonight to just give an update on the status of the violation. There was a two-tiered wall that was constructed without authorization of the existing order of conditions. What Mr. Warren would like to do to accommodate the commission and correct the work is to remove the lower tiered wall completely and restore that to a natural bank. We would like to keep the upper tiered wall because it's generally in the location of the pre-existing timber pile wall and old foundation of the old house. So we'd like to keep that wall there. It is critical for stabilization and structural support for the house that's built now. We would request that the commission allow this. We would like to submit an amendment to the order of conditions with a revised plan showing the location of the upper wall, so it's formally on the plan. We would also submit restoration with that for the area down gradient of that upper tier wall to restore the bank to a natural state. Mr. Warren can plant some shrubs and revegetate that bank and restore it to a natural condition. We think that's a reasonable request because the foundation, it probably should have had a wall in the first place, but we're looking to restore that and with the wall that's there. And that's it in a short summary. I did provide some photographs showing the pre-existing wall. You can see some of the stumps there to get an idea where it was compared to where the walls are now. The lower wall is definitively below that, which is why we're proposing to remove it and restore that area. And those are the photos I submitted yesterday to Ms. Monroe.
All right, well, we've been out there, we've seen the walls, we've seen the photographs. I've got some issues with this. When the applicant was first in front of us on January 22nd of 2020 with a plan that showed no wall, which I believe that we have here, he also presented us with a drawing of a small A-frame house that was going to be built to replace the house he was demolishing. His request on January 22nd was to demolish and rebuild. And this is what he showed us he was going to build. And we all assumed that that's what was going to do and he was going to do, and probably the engineering for this small house did not require a retaining wall because of its small stature. When the applicant came back to us on October 21st with a modification, and I'm going to read from the approved minutes of the meeting, what was discussed was it was considered a minor modification on our agenda, and it said Brooke handed out plans. Mr. Robert Rogers, JF Engineering, is present. This had an order of conditions to build a house, and the plans are amended to show that the house is being moved farther back from the pond. Mr. Rogers described a couple of minor changes to the house and the new plans that were submitted. The house will be a few feet longer and a few feet narrower, thus separating it further from the pond. There is nothing in the minutes, there is nothing in the presentation, there is nothing on the plans about a wall being anywhere. If this wall became a necessity due to the fact that the structure is now 4 stories high, that should have been on these plans, and it should have come in front of the commission in October. So yes, we are where we where we create people's trust in this commission is by being consistent. We have already told other people on Sampson's Pond who asked about building a wall that they could not. They came to us first and asked, and we said no, because that's what the state and the Commonwealth laws mandate. So, from my personal opinion, and I'm not speaking for the entire board, I think had this rock wall been on the plans that were submitted as the revised modifications, which would no longer be minor, in my opinion, I think if on October these plans had been submitted showing the walls, that we would have denied it at the time. That, as a group, that's my feeling, and I can't speak for everyone, but by coming to us after the fact, you denied us the ability at the time to say, no, come up with a different plan. So that is my opinion in regards to this, and I'm going to let anybody else from the commission share their thoughts on this. That's just the way I feel about this.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes, sir.
I may. Obviously I wasn't involved at that time. I can't speak to what happened. It didn't happen. I'm here to help resolve the situation, obviously for Mr. Warren, as well as to get the commission satisfied that we can find an amicable agreement here. I would say that, yes, obviously it would have been more appropriate to come before you before the wall was built. But I'd also like to point out that there was an existing wall there. I think it would have been appropriate to replace the wall. Now, maybe there would have been more discussion about the material and whatnot. But at the same time, it seems to me that it would be appropriate to repair and replace a wall if there was one there. I do agree it should have come to the board for your review, but we're here now, and we'd like to find a way to resolve this as amicably as we can.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even on the plans that something was needed there. All of a sudden, it appeared. The house is, and it's not under our jurisdiction, I understand it. The house is 2 times as big as it was originally presented to us. And we felt that at the time that with the replacement almost of the same size house that was there previously, that however the embankment was going to be strong enough to support it, because it was going to be almost tit for tat, same size house. And now the house that's there now is huge. It dominates that area, and I can understand that with the weight of that house, that something is needed. But that coming to us after the fact, I don't know what the solution is. I would love to find some other solution to be able to shore up or strengthen the area between the home and the lakefront without having a rock wall that holds the earth back. I don't know if there's a way to drive pilings in there to strengthen it, to make the ground upright. The question that I raise is that about a few months prior, maybe a year prior to the first meeting with Mr. Warren, another resident who has property on the lake came to us and asked for a wall similar to this, and we said no at the time. How do we go back to that person and say, well, we let Mr. Warren have one because he built it before asking permission? And that's really where I have the issue. It's not so much that the wall is there, it's that we did not have a chance to come to some kind of agreement on the best way to go about this. But again, I'm not speaking for the entire commission. It's my opinion. Again, as I said before, precedent is set with this commission. And if this is allowed in its current state, how do we say no to the next person who wants to do the same thing? And all of a sudden, Sampson's Pond is surrounded by a rock retaining wall on every property.
Right, and I agree. We do third-party review. We work for various developers, and it is a fine line walking with the precedent setting. I think this case is unique because there was an existing wall and foundation where the upper wall was built. So.
Mr. Chair, I had a couple questions.
Mr. Badger, go ahead.
what would you define as being a wall, retaining wall? The one that's there versus the other one, I think anybody would take a look at the pictures, and not to get in, have a whole hydrology lesson here,
It's
but
a lot different.
what would be your definition of the former wall versus
This.
what makes this one better?
I'm not an engineer,
Okay.
so I can't speak to that. I don't.
It was mortared together.
No, I get that part of it. I'm talking about structurally.
I can't speak to structurally. I'm not qualified. I'm not an engineer. I'm a wetland scientist. You know.
So I guess what I'm kind of getting at is, this is how many projects would you say that this group has done in Carver? Projects, construction-wise, had to go through planning, building inspectors, conservation. How many projects you think historically? This is the first time working in Carver?
This is my first time walking with Mr. Warren.
I've done two.
Two projects in Carver?
Two projects where I've done. And that was way back. And at that time, it was in the eighties, early eighties. And the building inspector came out, like I said, wow, yeah, you're right, don't do that. And what I had was right next to the house, had creosote walls, down into the water, had rock wall. So I put another rock wall up with the creosote wall.
Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to understand is, you have a procedure for doing work in a town, going to building inspector, going through conservation with other towns, I assume, is not a new thing.
I'm not a builder.
Okay,
This is my first venture into this.
your first venture into building. Well, who would you say gave you the guidance to say that this would probably be okay? I guess.
Well, the day that we first had the problem, we tore the house down.
Oh.
We disturbed the railroad ties. We got rain 2 days after that, and a lot of sand went down. When we tore the house down, the deck, it was out most of the water's edge. And next to the end of the water, we walk on the backside of the post to be out of the water. There was creosote wall down there also, it was like two and a half high. And most of that was buried into the sand, but it was all buried into the sand. So when we found the problem, we were in the middle of the COVID problem, I called here, and the only person that answered the phone was in the tax accountant office, and I called Bob LaFrance, the building inspector. Bob did call me back a couple of days later. I did call this commission, I called this commission 3 times today, matter of fact, and I called yesterday. So, we did try, and we just never dawned on me that the railroad ties would be better than the rocks.
So a couple factors were, you're saying inaccessibility to communicating with conservation, but I guess the other thing I'm trying to get my head around is, you found that the foundation was left wanting, and then you decided to make it bigger.
No, not at all.
Well,
We cleared that up.
okay,
Rob was the engineer that drew the house. There was supposed to be a walkout base. It was agreed right in this room. There would be no digging. We would have to work on the ground.
right.
That's how the house looks so much bigger. The whole floor is in underground. Because of the septic and things like that came to light later. But I don't buy the decision that night, because I still don't think the septic would interfere with it. So that's why the house looks so much bigger. But is that the same house we designed? Yes, it is. So none of that was changed. So we don't understand that. We had bought the house when we walked down. We were on a tight schedule, no one was going to be putting it in. And they had already decided to do kind of bang it through downstairs in the building. They came up here. So the point is, we didn't want to run the house. It's just the basement didn't get to go on the ground. It's still a 1-bedroom house. And two residents walked through the house today and 2 walked through yesterday because they couldn't believe it was a 1-bedroom house. But it's designed as a home for a single guy that's an artist and he's a writer. And you have whole upstairs to that is an office. It's one big giant room. The middle floor is a kitchen, the middle room, and the downstairs is a So that's why it looks so big, to answer that. And the wall thing, when the house, in the picture, you see the house went out over the bank like this and dropped off like that.
Mhm.
It was not 1 or 2, it was 3 walls coming over the bank together. And I didn't understand why they did it. When I bought the old rug that was there, but the entire deck had been covered with 5/8 plywood, so the water would go down through into that little doorway you see in the front of the house, I can almost stand up in there. There's a fox and babies. One of your tenants, I didn't turn the house down for 6 months because I wasn't supposed to do that. And getting everything in place too. You almost stand up in the front behind that first wall. You got to get down within 5 feet and fall on the front of the flashlight and try to see the fox. So it goes off like that. So the agreement was with the town, which got left off previously, was that we would move over 5 feet and move over 5 feet and go back 10 feet. And then build a bigger house, the nice house. And it wasn't my idea, it was the building inspector. He came out and looked and said, this is crazy. He said, this will never be right. He said, get a deal, that you can pull it over 5 feet and then take it back 10 feet. He said, you're gonna have to have some support in the front, but most of the house will be up on the high ground.
My understanding from the minutes is not so much that the house will be bigger, but the dimensions are changed.
Dimensions have not changed.
Part of it being narrowed, is that?
Well, why wasn't the Conservation Commission provided with a picture or plans of the house which was actually built as opposed to what was submitted?
Can I see what he's got there?
I don't have anything else.
This is what was presented at the first meeting in January of 2020.
Yeah, and if we had the basement underneath it, that's exactly what's there. But we were sitting right here in this room, and you asked Alan, there's no digging, we don't hold up the digging, you guys had a big conversation about that. And JF said, well, just have a walkout. He said, you're better off with a walkout, just have a walkout.
So how many stories is that house as opposed to what you have now?
It's 2 stories with a basement, so now I have 3 stories because the basement's out of the ground. The house didn't change, it was always scheduled to have a basement, it was always scheduled to have, that's exactly what's there. The only difference is, the thing that is different, is that dormer right there, I put it right here, just because for symmetrics on the house.
Yeah, I mean, I have notes that I referred to earlier from our actual site visit, and this was never gonna have a basement. It was gonna be on piles, always.
No.
It was just gonna be rebuilt on the,
But Bob and Francis, we should have Bob come in. Because
Bob Francis is the one that proposed this?
It was his idea to do it this way, and I agree with him, he said, it's never gonna be right, this hill's always gonna be shifting, you gotta make this house back. So, that's what the agreement was, over 5, away from the hill, and back 10. They were still wanting to hang on.
But Conservation was never notified that Bob Francis told you to do that.
Well, Bob told me that way before we ever drew a plan, so everybody was in the loop all the way as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think we ought to continue this and have Mr. Francis come in?
Mr. Francis is not gonna come in, first of all.
No.
No disrespect.
No, it's not.
He's ridden off into the sunset. He's not coming back.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's going from Carver.
I just,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Long story, but yeah.
retired, he's,
And he wouldn't necessarily have told me
no.
that if it had to
Mr.
do with
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Look, I really thought you were in that room, let's move it over 5 and back.
Oh, well, that was part of the minor modification, right, that you came in for? But as far as the, size of the house and stuff, I mean,
The size didn't change,
The size didn't change.
yeah, okay,
the size did not
The
change.
footprint.
I
footprint.
would've been
But
able to put the basement in like I wanted to, that house would have been a lot smaller. Even I started saying, this is way too damn big. But now what are you gonna do? You've got the slab for the guy to come, you show up with 4 trailer trucks in 5 days, they built that thing. And they've already got $400,000 of your money. So
Mr.
what am I
Chairman.
gonna do? And I asked, you notice GNF isn't here tonight, he didn't want to come back to here, so I tell you why. When we went out last time, I said, why the hell did you tell them, you told me in that parking lot, those walls were grandfathered not to worry about? That's what I thought they would be, I don't want to certify the engineer. And that's exactly what he's not in here tonight. Then he said to me this morning, he goes, on second thought, maybe you should have thought about the walls. I said, no, sir, I make paint for a living, and I apply paint for a living. I don't do engineering, I paid you a hell of a lot of money to do that. So that's their take on it.
Well, Mr. Germain, you wanted to say something.
I did. The size of the house at this point is irrelevant, because no one's
Exact-
gonna
well-
say, take the house down.
True.
So this is a complete waste of conversation. So, the problem I have is that, and I'm gonna refer to, I don't even know what number it is, but it's this existing picture of what the house looked like. And this little tiny portion of a wall that's over here, and a dip over here that's showing an exposed foundation, and how much fill was brought in order to sit up against these retaining walls, and we strip cleared all the vegetation out of there. So it doesn't matter, I don't care what he built. I don't care if it's 75 feet tall, because that whole argument is moot at this point. What we need to determine is how many walls are coming out, and then what's gonna be put back in to stabilize that bank. Because the last time we talked about this, Mr. Warren was willing to pull the walls out, and I'm the guy who stood up and said, wait a minute, you can't make them take both walls out. The entire yard will end up in the pond. So now we need to find a way to stabilize that bank.
You were absolutely right about that. And if you remember, the black buoys for the piers, that last big rain, 2 of them washed down the hillside.
I get all of that. And here's the problem, and it's nothing personal. The problem is that we're seeing more and more and more of the ask forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
And this is getting almost to the point where we're sending the message out, don't even bother pulling the permit. Just go build something, and then when we send you a letter, come on in and say, well, what do you want me to do now? So, and nobody wants to say to you, listen, too bad you spent $400,000, take the house down, move it, put the bank the way it was originally. No one's gonna do that to anyone in this town because we're all taxpayers and we all live here. So now we get into this real quagmire of an issue of permitting process, conservation bylaws, town bylaws, and what actually happened. And how do we find that balance? We're dealing with it on Center Street with an after-the-fact issue that is causing a lot of damage to a homeowner. This is what's caused us to start signing drawings.
Yes.
So that there's no confusion later on. So all I'm interested in hearing tonight is the solution to the walls. And I have to agree with Savory, the walls look awesome, don't get me wrong, they look great. But we forced a resident on the opposite side of that pond to reconfigure an existing wall because we didn't like his design.
But here's another problem. Anybody can, you don't have to wait for one, any day you want to come. The residents that live over there, that's like being at the ocean. We actually have pictures of the ice coming up over the first wall and piled up against the second wall.
I don't disagree.
And so, I.
But what is it you want us to do? You want us to grant the thing, then we have to go back to, or we might as well just make an announcement saying, everybody that lives on Sampson's Pond, build whatever you want on the water's edge, because this precedent has been set. And this is the danger in the entire process. I don't want to hurt you. I think the wall looks great. It looks much better than wooden ties. But there's the but.
But.
We strip clear, we fill in, we bank it off, and it looks nice. And I'm a great advocate of that. I think that looks awesome. Looks much better than what you had. Unfortunately, now we pull the walls out, and the whole yard winds up in the pond.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, you start undermining and pulling in and putting in T-blocks to hold it all now, and now we're doing more excavation work. So what do we do now? What is your solution to us, honestly and truly? What is it you want us to do?
Okay, find $5,000 or $10,000 and spend it someplace where it's worth being spent. Tearing that wall down with Hoffman backs already at the goal. Then who's gonna fight about it when the wall starts building into the pond? I would gladly donate money to spend someplace else that makes sense in wetlands. But to destroy that for no reason, that's crazy.
But there is a reason. And the reason is that it protects, you mentioned the fact that when the winter storms that you had ice coming over the lower wall.
Well, not just the winter storm. We filmed it every day throughout the summer. I
Yep.
wanted to bring a video tonight to show you. Every day it's coming in like that.
Okay.
There's no way to know that about that. So on my other side of the pond, looking straight across, you're looking at my house. This today, 11 o'clock, there was no waves over there at all. Zero, flat. Over the other house, we had 2-foot waves coming over the capsule.
Today was a northwest wind.
And that's pretty much every day.
Not in the summer, but, I get
But-
waves, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say,
But you had a beautiful wind every afternoon.
what I was gonna say is that you made the point that the ice was coming over your wall, trying to prove a point that I guess that the wall was a necessary thing to have there. Yet the building that you demolished stood unattended for years with no wall and never fell
In
down.
fact, there was 3 or 4 walls under there.
They were nothing to this extent.
They were not to this extent. It was a gradual,
I was gonna say, that's why I was getting into, can you define the difference between wall here and a wall there? Because this is a tiered thing that allowed for drainage, for flow. It's the same reason why on different water bodies where they have walls where the water ends up churning underneath and beats up the walls because they're squared up to the actual body of water.
That's why we put the little point to break the wall, break the way, that's the mason that recommended that.
Well,
But the answer to that other question was, the original house was built on a bunch of cinder block piers with cantilevered beams. And once again, the building inspector said, we just don't want to go down this road. He goes, yeah, you can tear down everything from one wall, and I have to tell you, yes. Because let's figure out a way to put a real house here, get some real tax income, get something that look good in the neighborhood, not look like a makeshift bungalow, and that's what it was gonna be. If I could flip a coin and be back to that day, believe me, it would be a makeshift bungalow.
I think, is anybody here, in your party here, an engineer? Okay, so I'm not even making any suggestions as to how to fix this problem, other than to say that are there not, in terms of dispersing weight and adding more pilings, underneath something that now doesn't have a basement anyway, are there some solutions that would lead to be able to fortify that foundation so that the wall can be removed?
The house is built, we'd have to cut the whole basement if we did, and he did fortify it. And the way
Well, the foundation of the house is fine. There's a deck just below the water side,
Mhm.
and, that could potentially be a problem over time. We can stabilize the bank, it'll be fine. The bank needs to be stabilized.
Only way you're gonna do that is to put T-blocks in. Dig it all back out, stick T-blocks in, put sand back in there and fill it back in so that the blocks actually hold it. You gotta tie it into something on that elevation, on that bank,
That's
and,
how,
or the wall.
or the wall,
That's
tied
the-
into the house,
but then you have to disturb it all.
What a
tied in with the angles on the house.
You know, there's just so many things here that are outside the scope of what we're, that should have been addressed before it even got to us in the first place, that I find.
Yeah, but now it's here, so.
Well, no,
Shoulda,
it
woulda,
is
coulda
here, but
won't
I
help
you know,
him.
I mean, it's not like we can recommend sanctions to anybody that was involved with the entire project, never to do business in Carver again, kind of thing. But I do find a lot of the actions of a lot of parties here both unethical and unprofessional, because there's nobody sitting here that doesn't know better. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It's disrespectful to all the residents of Carver, not just ones that live on Sampson's. It's in general. They're town voted bylaws that are nothing. And, you know, we all here said this before, we've taken an oath to follow these set of bylaws that the town wanted, the town voted on. And, you know, you have to look at other residents, if you are residents of this town, to look them in the eye and say, hey, I was dishonest, and I don't care about what you think or feel and what you voted on.
I take resentment to that.
Well, you can take it any way you want. I'm looking at facts. I don't know you, and I can only look at what's in front of me. So if you take it personally, I can't help you there. But what I can say is that if the actions do the speaking, then all I have to do is look at what's in front of me, and it's not just what's in front of me. But I've been on that site before it was built. You know, I just have concerns with what some of my colleagues here have mentioned in terms of what precedent does this set for future projects and for people who we've already had hearings for. If you're offended, I'm offended, because I'm not sure why we even have to be sitting in front of this.
This is what I mean, this is, if you look at the one picture, we put the stone wall in front of the creosote wall, because when we tried to fix the creosote wall, the wall just kept caving in on us. Because the further you went down, the more you were walking.
one of your chief reasons for why this all played out the way it did is because you couldn't get somebody on the phone with conservation. Another chief reason why that you said that this played out the way it did is because such said it was okay. You know, I mean, we're, I think, smarter than we look.
I got told by GAF, you have the right to maintain your walls if they're grandfathered in. I think I mentioned a little bit at the first meeting, you need to see when these got built. Well, I know when they got built.
This is a far cry from maintaining a creosote wall, Danny. I mean, that's even a stretch even for you.
No, what I'm saying is,
That's a stretch.
what I'm saying is, do you even think to put you want me to put the creosote back? I don't wanna do that. I wouldn't even put pressure treated
I
back.
think you know we're not saying that.
No.
So what are we saying? That I stabbed everybody in the back?
No. We're not saying that either.
No, but I don't, I mean, for one, I don't hear anyone taking ownership of their actions, for one. I
Well,
hear,
we built the wall, and if I did it wrong, I did it wrong. And like I said before, I was totally willing to take both walls out, till every engineer that looked at it said, you do that, you lose the house.
You can't. Not now, because you strip cleared everything out of there besides. There's nothing else to hold it.
Alan, I'm not trying to be a jackass. There was nothing there. The deck was decked off with plywood, so nothing was under there but pine needles. You had just a little bit of,
Danny, there's a lot of fill that was brought in between this picture here and what you have the wall holding back. You filled this whole thing in when you built the wall. And that's fine. I understand what you did, and I understand the reason why you did it. We're trying to find a way to make this so that the next guy that comes by, and this is what I say at every single meeting, the next 5 guys that walk through that door and start showing us this exact same thing, and then they cite you as the reason why we have to say yes.
look at the picture before there was a wall. There was one load of fill run in there, and it was a 6-wheeler of processed stone that they could park the crane on. There's been nothing else run in.
But look at the vegetation that was removed. That's key. I mean, the grasses, we've got bushes there.
The grass was actually.
So what do we do now?
I think to pull it out, I don't,
Can't pull it out.
no, you can't. That doesn't make any sense.
We can pull out,
Something about the lower wall?
we can pull out the lower wall.
Lower wall, definitely.
We believe we can, if we pull out the lower wall, we have the existing banks on either side of the upper wall, where the engineer should be able to grade it down to match the existing banks, and we can stabilize it and put a vegetation management plan together in order to get a natural bank back.
What are you gonna put on top of the wall on the other side toward the house? What's growing in there? You gonna put grass in there? What are we growing in there?
There's gonna be grass. And it's gonna be, well, it's gonna be grass, it's gonna be blueberries, it's gonna be that type of thing. We started in the back on that, the wall that Beans had, and what separates the two products, we already started on that one.
And we're going to survey the location of the upper wall to confirm the location. We believe it's generally in the vicinity of where the old house foundation was. We'll confirm that through survey, and we can submit a plan
Do
to
you
the
have a
commission.
low water mark on that pond anywhere? Is that written down somewhere?
The low water mark is on a rock across, across from,
course
this,
it is.
from this property. It's,
I think, did they give the elevation? Did they give the elevation?
It's over by the rock that looks like a
no,
bear,
it's,
right?
oh, I can't remember the gentleman's name. It's right across from you where they do the fireworks. It's on a rock that's underneath that.
It might be on the plan.
Yes, that, yeah, underneath his dock, there's a rock that has a line on it. Yeah, that has the
Right.
low water mark that the cranberry growers have done. What?
So you do know the pond.
Yes.
I mean, it might be on the plan. Low water mark should-
The day we started that.
Well, the reason for my question is that would give us an indication of how far back from the rock the wall is. Where the low water mark is, how far back is the wall actually? So, are we 20 feet, are we 30 feet, are we 15 feet? As opposed to the first wall that is actually in the water. But it wasn't in the water when you built it, because the pond had gone down.
You know, we had 50 feet out in front of the house, and if you look at that one picture, we still laid work tarps out all over that, not to kill it.
Saw that.
When we did, when we was tearing the house down a little bit.
This is the one I think you're talking about, right? With
Water
the
elevation.
lower wall, and then you can see where you got the silk fence. So that was.
Yeah, there's
the-
one here that shows it also.
Yeah.
It shows the water. and that
Yeah,
was,
so the water was way back. This is still dry over here.
And not to mention, the 3 30-yard dumpsters full of old boats with motors still in them,
Yeah.
car motors, motorcycles, bicycles, bed springs, 3 diamond rings, 6 launches,
Shopping cart, gotta have a shopping.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Has nothing to do with it.
Oh, dear.
So,
Get rid of the bottom wall.
Let me ask a question.
Restore the whole bottom part.
so, that would be a feasible, at this stage of the game.
I think Chris has a good idea.
Is the height of the upper wall engineered to, is that height, 4 feet or whatever it is, necessary to retain the foundation of the deck? What I'm getting at is, could it be 2 feet?
Could it be 2?
What, you're gonna chisel it apart?
That's an engineering.
It's exactly 10 feet for the setback to the thing for the deck. And for the deck, I think it's another 8 or 9 feet. And then on the bottom one, it's 4.5 feet. So it's, no matter what you do, and that wall is exactly the height that the railroad tie wall was.
You can't, the wall is there, you either take it out, or you're not gonna cut it apart, because it's a rock wall, so that means you gotta do a ton of work. It'll cost you 3 times the money to shorten it than it would be just to remove it, so that's not fair. I think,
I was trying to think of a way to retain the rock wall, but have the slope go over it, so that the rock wall is not visible.
well, that's not gonna help us either, because then whatever's on the other side of that rock wall still winds up in the pond.
And they are gonna plant, they're
And
gonna plant
eventually
where
that
the
rock
lower
wall will
is.
then be exposed again anyway, because as soon as the water comes up, whatever's on the other side of the wall is gonna go back into the pond.
And they're gonna restore the.
If they're willing to restore the lower section and pull the lower wall out completely,
Right, and plant it.
then I don't see that there's any other alternative that isn't gonna, everything aside, the man is still a taxpayer and a resident in the town of Carver. So we're not here to destroy him.
So are the Hanulars,
But so were the Hanulars, that's right.
and we said no to them.
Well, they come back with a modified plan. And then we gave it to them.
All before a shovelful was,
You're absolutely right.
And they both told me how beautiful the walls were.
And we've done the same thing with residents on Andrews. We've done the same thing where they've complied and there's been issues and they've done it the right way and they've come to us before. The thing of it is that it's after the fact, and there's no doubt. It's not gonna be inexpensive to pull out the bottom wall. No one's gonna fine them $10,000. So to take the entire thing back out is gonna do more destruction than if we just leave that upper wall where it is, take out the bottom wall, stabilize that bank, put some growth back in there, and all I got to say is God help the next guy. I mean,
Yeah, I
what
mean-
else can you do?
I know,
Very awkward.
yeah. I
Of
agree.
course it's very awkward,
Very
but
awkward.
there comes a point when there's only so much you can do. If this were a developer who lived in Quincy, and he had bought this property at auction and built this house and was gonna sell it tomorrow, it'd be a totally different attitude I would have. The man is a resident taxpayer.
Yep.
So,
I'll
there's
be-
gotta be a little give someplace, Dan. There just has to be, because he's a resident taxpayer.
Yeah, I get it. I'll be honest with you though, there are a lot of things that I would like to do with my property that based on being where it is adjacent to wetlands that I just can't do because you're not supposed to. And I don't out of respect for fellow residents in the town. And out of respect for the bylaws and out of respect for, you know,
Can we
the
talk about
law.
that for a second? I just bought a lot for $400,000 that will never be built, because I didn't want to go to Hampton Farm. We have another offer of $2.4 million to buy another lot in Carver that will never be built if they take my offer. So you're preaching to the choir with me, Mr. Vice
Yeah,
President.
no,
All right.
I appreciate that.
I'm not jabbing a stick in anybody's eye that we do that to the neighbor. But the point is, I was between a rock and a hard place in the middle of the pandemic with a big building block that had a deadline for its going to come. We didn't build that overnight. We hand carried every stinking block in there.
I mean, that's all fine. You know, the only disagreement I have with Mr. Germain is that whether they're from Quincy and gonna sell it or whether they're a resident here, I'm always comfortable not worrying if I'm offending somebody or somebody being someone's hero in the way we vote on things, because I don't care one way or the other than that I'm supposed to follow a set of bylaws. That's it. That way I know that maybe it hurts someone's feelings, or maybe they're upset, or maybe they think that I'm on their side. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just here to do a job, a volunteer job for that matter.
Yeah.
And it's,
I appreciate that.
no, I'm not looking for accolades or anything like that. I'm just saying that I'm able to just simply look at it for what it is, and
That's the
and-
difference with me and Dan. I don't see them as absolute. And that's the difference. Probably because I've been spending the last 9 years of having a good portion of my property destroyed because I became the drainage for Pine Street up until last summer when they finally came in and fixed it. But, you know, I put up with it for a long time. And everybody that came and looked at it said, oh, this is wrong. This should never be like this. We're so sorry this is happening to you. You know, you're on the list. That never happened, the list. You know, you're on the list. And then finally last year it happened. So I don't, and that was completely against the law. I had an argument 9 years ago with this town on running street water onto private property, which is absolutely illegal. So I guess I take a little different view of the bylaws. They're not so absolute, and that's probably the difference between, I think, me and Dan, only to the point that I think it's a balancing act with a resident, with a taxpayer, and a homeowner. They own the property. And I'm more of a nature of, it's your land. But there has to be a little bit of, do I want you to strip clear 27 acres of wetlands and fill it all in? No, of course not. But if this is what we have in front of us right now, and the best that we're gonna be able to do, short of Mr. Warren saying, I'll see you in court, is a compromise of the lower wall and stabilizing that lower portion, then, like I said, God help the next guy. You know, we're just gonna have to get, and this is how tougher bylaws come out. This is how boards and committees get a little more stringent. We had something happen up in North Carver. This is why we sign documents now that we didn't do before. So this is, you know, in a perfect world, yeah, pick it up and move it. Take it out of there, put it all back the way it used to be, pull the wall back down, stick the creosote back, and then we'll complain about how much oil's running into the pond. So, you know, where's the balance? And what's the solution, Dan? Take the
Well, no,
both
that's
walls
not-
out, now what holds the sand there?
Well,
What
that's
keeps
what I
it
was
there?
asking people that are not, you know, in a different wheelhouse, and that being in the engineering side of things, is are there, I would like to hear from you or from someone like you, maybe some other potential solutions that we're not seeing, because it's not our expertise. You know, so I would like to see something other than, you know, one extreme or the other. I mean, you know, Al and I see things, you know, from different perspectives. I think a lot of times we wind up with the same solution, just from different points of view. But but yeah, I would like to see if there is something, for a lot of reasons. One, because I don't want to see bad things happen to fellow residents either. I feel very protective of everybody. You know, everybody's equally wonderful, equally worthless to me, you know, just to be fair. And, you know, I just want to know from someone else, in your expert area, field of expertise, excuse me, some potential solutions. Because until we see something like that from someone like this, I don't know that we can really vote or decide on anything that's going to be effective for this particular case and for future cases. That's
Know this, you pull that rock wall out of there and that whole area winds up in the pond in about a week and a half.
There's another thing, if I could just say this, one, 5 times we had triple layers of silk fence ripped out of the ground and tumbled down that we cleaned up every time it rains. And that bank on the side that we're trying to save, same thing there. Every time it rains, more of that's lost. In the last 2 storms, the Hodges have lost almost 4 feet of what was vegetation. It's pure white sand, and it's a wash of white sand all up in the front now, so the whole bank's going in the bottom. So,
Mr. Chairman, I think the next step would be for the civil to take a look and identify exactly where those walls are. and then if you take the bottom one out, at minimum, what do we need to do vegetation-wise to stabilize that bank and get it back to where it was? So that it looks like it did and it behaves like it did.
Yeah, I just don't wanna make any assumptions, I want it, if we could take a look.
We need to identify
I
the
think we need to look
exact
at
slope,
more
the exact location,
but
and
I
then
like.
come back with a plan to stabilize that slope.
Then how about a continuance to July 7th? Can you do it by then? And come in with an engineered plan on exactly what you're gonna do and what it's gonna end up looking like and how it's gonna all work out. Is that too soon? Or July 7th would be, you can go 14 days beyond that to 21st.
So it's the 7th, the 17th, or the 21st?
7th or the 21st?
7th or the
7th is
21st.
next one, the
First and
21st.
third Wednesdays of the month.
Do you think the 7th is doable?
I'm not here on the 7th. I'm actually on vacation. I'm not around, so.
21st?
I,
That's fine.
Come back with something
right.
that's comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 20.
Make a motion to
Alright.
continue this 201 Tremont Street wall construction to July 21st.
Second that?
It's been moved and seconded to continue the discussion of 201 Tremont Street until 2 meetings from now on Wednesday, July 21st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing
Just an
none.
amendment to that, Ashley, make a note that they're gonna come in with engineering plans that are gonna show how we're gonna remove that bottom wall. Actually, just show a solution. Leave that. That fair enough?
And then we're gonna talk about outside, on that, between the top wall towards the house, that washed out the land at the last rain. We wanna try to fix that, get some soil in it, get something with some root in it. I don't care if it's one-time ryegrass, anything, just get some root in it, because every time it rains, it grows again.
It's meant to not be here.
Brooke?
It's him?
Okay,
Well, he's asking for an answer.
Yeah.
what's the,
Can you put some ryegrass in?
He wants to put some ryegrass in.
yeah, for now, yes, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not below, not lower than that.
Do you think that would work, Chris?
Top wall back towards the house. Fill that in, get something in there.
So you can keep what you
Something that
got.
would, establish.
So you can keep.
Yeah,
what
it'll
you
need to be
have.
irrigated. This time of year, I'll probably have to put some irrigation.
Yeah.
You know, take a couple weeks, but.
Yeah, does anyone have any issue with
No.
doing that? All right, yeah,
Smart
yeah,
idea.
So I'm gonna fill that in, get a slope, get some plan.
Yeah, that makes
okay.
sense.
All right,
Actually, that's something I wanted to try
Okay.
down there, so,
See you later.
okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, next up,
This is not.
Yes, I did.
Then this is not.
22 Lakeview Street,
Absolutely not.
minor modification. Where have I heard those words before?
What's that?
DP.
DEP SC 126-592, which is an open,
Open water.
Motion to deny? Oh, I'm sorry, you wanted to talk first.
Like Hannula, I'm one of those homeowners on the pond that went through getting a wall approved that
Yes,
took
you did.
well over a year through the
Yes,
COVID,
yes, you did.
through all of the expenses of firing one engineer and hiring another to get something acceptable.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Okay, and
Don't think that we were not cognizant of that fact,
And appreciative.
And you didn't have to
Yes.
do your mustard.
and appreciative.
honestly and truly, tonight.
okay, now I'm here tonight to ask in advance
Well, that's novel.
Boy.
for two things
Motion
to
to
be
approve.
added to our order of conditions. I guess that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Okay, one is when we seeded our yard, we assumed the grass would grow in the front of our house right up to the house. It's too hot, it killed off about a foot of it, so we put some flagstone type product on where the grass was. It's still not really working, so we'd like to put a regular walkway, 4.5 feet wide, 20 feet long, okay, across the front of our house. That is in the protected zone, starting at about 95 feet to 90 feet, because portion of our house is in the 100 feet.
Right, we did a site visit today.
Yeah.
We have an identical walkway on the other side of our house.
Yeah, which is
So
in
we
the-
provided a
in your
picture of
pictures.
exactly what it would look like.
Yep.
I don't have any issue with that.
No, I don't think any of us
Not
did
at all.
when we saw that today.
No, looked fantastic.
No.
You have a
So,
problem with this, Dan? We're good? See, Dan and I do agree once in a while.
You picking on you? Yeah, no, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. The second thing we would like to
Don't push your
do
luck.
is in our original application, we were taking out 3 trees that were on the pond side of our house, replacing them with fruit trees. We left 2 holly trees. But after looking at the fruit trees and how they're growing on that side of the house, we want to take the holly trees out and add 5 more fruit trees. We'll have a total of 27 fruit trees.
Makes sense.
Sure.
Okay, the holly trees, you can't walk on the grass, the leaves are so sharp.
Hit 'em
I'd like
hard.
those to disappear.
yep.
I like holly.
Okay, those are our 2 requests to be added to our
Just amend
order
your
of conditions.
All right. Does anybody have any comments? We were
I
all.
think it's a great
We
idea.
were all there today. It was very cut and dried, and it looks like it's, it's not going to be, have any impact. I think the trees are better than the holly trees that are there, and the pavers in front of the house is really what it's going to do is going to keep wear and tear on the lawn down. So,
I was
basically,
about to say, it's actually an improvement, it'll
yeah,
improve a lot of things for a lot of reasons.
yeah.
Motion to approve the minor modification DEP SE 126-592 for 22 Lakeview Street as requested.
Second.
Everybody seconded, okay.
we all
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minor modifications. Hate those words.
Yeah, I know.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Whoops. We gave
Anyone?
Danny a modification too.
Anyone? All right, we're good. Thank you.
Unanimous okey dokey. First one of the night.
Thank you for coming first before you did it.
Yes, it's appreciated.
So,
You're a good role model.
so am I getting a rep? Is that what's going on?
No.
I know,
All right.
Giving you the rest.
I know I'm on the redheaded stepchild
No.
table.
It's been a rough day today. I'm just playful tonight.
Next up is a violation at 318 Tremont Street.
Okay. Oh, there's somebody here. Yep. Alrighty.
You want to sign in, please?
Yes.
Good evening.
Please.
Yes.
I didn't get any pictures. Did you get any? Did you take a picture of that?
No.
Okay. Have you been by that elm? 318?
Oh, but I heard about it from about 27 different locations.
From 27 different people? You heard it?
Conversations start out with, "Did you know?" Okay.
If you went to the permitting department, you would have heard it 12 times.
Not just there. Not just there.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. We,
Excuse me, can I have your name?
Yep, my name's Ben Bryant.
hi, Ben. We received a notification of paving that was going on at your location that was close to an existing irrigation canal and
And the bog in the back.
the bog in the back. Actually, I didn't see any work in the back. I saw it on the side.
Yeah, well, it goes around, the paving goes around to the back, but it's farther away from the bog, but it's
I
probably
haven't been
still.
down there. Did you pave behind the other building?
Yeah, so we didn't, there was an existing line, we maintained that.
There was
Our
only
property,
cement on one side. There was only cement on the pavement.
Correct.
Back of that, on the building on the right. Then it was dirt, then it was grass. That's what went from there to the lot line. Reason I know all this is because I know the former owners and I've been there many times. So, the question I'm asking you is, did you pave from where the existing cement is all the way across the back of the building that, as you're facing everything, is on the left?
yes,
On the edge of the bog?
yes, we went to the edge of the building on the left, we stopped there, and then deployed a dense grade.
Okay.
And then the one on the right-hand side is one that's near the
Well,
canal.
it's on the canal, but that was already cement.
Was that already, it was, okay.
There was already something in there. I don't think it was all gravel. That wasn't gravel down that side, was it? On that right side, wasn't it?
No, it was asphalt. The only cement, I think, is where the helicopters actually landed,
Yeah.
in the rear of the building to the
Yes.
right.
There was cement, and then there was the little parking area out front by the offices, and that went around the corner and down the
Yes, sir.
side of the building.
Yes, sir.
And that was also paved originally. I just don't remember if it was asphalt or cement, but I know it was a solid surface that was there before.
It looks as though the concrete, where the helicopters were, is about the same width of the building, and there seems to be a paved area about, I would say, 10 or so feet on either side of the cement going to the rear of the cement. So that was paved already. But there was no pavement behind the building on the left as you're looking from 58.
Correct.
And based on the scale that I'm seeing here, that's approximately 40 feet. If you've continued the same line from the helicopter pad,
Yes.
that's 40 feet from the cranberry bogs, which is 25 feet within our 65-foot no-touch zone. The town of Carver.
I think it's actually closer than that.
How did they approve the concrete pad or the other existing asphalt? If it's the same distance from that bog as I'm doing. And furthermore, aren't they placing, the reason that he had to sell that property is because they were deeming it a no-fly zone because they're actually going to put solar panels and
That's
omitting the.
irrelevant. It's gonna be dual-use solar, and that's still gonna remain wetlands back there. So that doesn't negate the 65.
Okay, 10-4, I was just noting that. And that would be a disruption to stop topsoil to actually put those,
Right.
those solar panels in place.
We would have to look and see how old that concrete is. The concrete could have predated the bylaw.
Okay,
I'm guessing. I don't know the answer.
Understood.
That's a valid
Could
question.
have been a variance granted for it.
It could have been a variance granted. And that is something we can look for. We can ask you to see if there's any record
Any
on
filings or anything?
any filings on this piece of property for a concrete pad and a little bit of paving.
So
So how
how
about
much
the right-hand
asphalt
side?
is there right now? Is the asphalt done?
Yeah.
yes.
Was the area on the right-hand side by the canal, was that all pavement too?
There was pavement there. You couldn't get out to the street.
There was some, and you still can't get out to the street.
Right, we stopped it at the buffer.
You come into the parking area between the two
Yeah.
buildings, took a right.
Right.
That brought you to where the offices were, and you could continue straight, take a left and go down the right side of that building out back. It was narrow, and that's where
Yeah.
the canal is.
Right.
That was
Right.
That was
originally,
paved?
there was paved.
Yes, but there was an area of lawn between the driveway in front of the offices and the offices themselves.
Yes.
That is now paved.
Correct, extending towards Tremont Street?
Yes, and also right up abutting the building.
That's out of the 100, so it doesn't make a difference.
Well, not necessarily, not the corner of the building. Right in here. See the grass?
Yep,
That's all paved now, as is over here,
yep,
and there's 58.
right.
And going by the scale, that's 20 feet, so it's 80 feet from the canal. There's the canal.
Yep.
So possibly 80 feet, and possibly a little less.
So here's the problem. The problem all comes down to this. Not that we don't like pavement. The fact of the matter is that it creates more runoff into the canals,
Understood.
which causes more problems in the bogs. Now, it's on 58, and the water that runs down on the street in the wintertime when they salt and all that other stuff, that obviously ends up someplace, and most of it winds up in those very canals. So it's very difficult for us. This is one of those, similar to what we just got done with, where it would have been far better to come before us ahead of time and then get an okay. We just approved a project in North Carver that they're gonna build a building, and we didn't allow any pavement because it's too close to the wetlands. So this is where this whole issue comes to play. So now we are in a situation where, again, the pavement is down, so now what? So what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I think that I think the first step is an after-the-fact NOI,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that's a notice of intent, And that means that you have to file with the Conservation Commission. You have to have an engineer come in and do drawings showing where the pavement wasn't and where it is now.
Okay.
Plus the distances from all the wetlands that are noticed on your property, and that would, not only on your property, but any abutting property. You know, anything that, any wetlands within 100 feet of your work area. You could come in and see Brooke, the conservation agent here in Town Hall. She can walk you through the process of what has to happen, and correct, Brooke? And then we'll set you up for a meeting when you tell Brooke when you can have all the necessary materials ready for your
Any engineer familiar with Carver is gonna know exactly what we ask for as far as the drawings.
yeah, and Brooke can tell you all that.
Do you have an engineer now?
What is it?
Or do you have an engineer now that you've?
Yeah, we have contracted engineers we could utilize.
Oh, okay, so
All right.
somebody, then they could help you do the notice of.
Yep, yeah, and I'll work closely with you to appease
Okay.
anything you guys need.
Perfect.
All right, so you'll let Brooke know when you think you'll have everything ready. We'll reset you to come back in to one of our future meetings, and
Yeah.
we'll
Is
act
there
on it.
any modifications or adjustments you guys would like us to make? We definitely want to be in good favor with you guys. You're important.
We don't know until we see what you've done. until we
Okay,
get the
understood.
drawing.
Just so you guys know that I am in the construction field, and I manage and handle wetlands a lot of the times, and I do understand pH levels and the concerns. We talk about bureaucracy and things of that nature. How about the ecosystems that are being at risk on it? So I completely respect it and get it, and we engage a lot with your folks, if you will, in other towns and where we're encroaching on wetlands, and we have to trench to pull a fiber optic cable to service whatever customers. We did all the fiber optic work and all the forced relocation along here. My family has a stake here. I love Giorgio's Pizza. We brought the fiber and the coax to the police department. You know, we love Carver. My father came up here. We came here. We chose your town. We have many options to go. We said, let's go to Carver. We like that split where we can hit 495 and go north or south. And we're here to employ your town and make sure that we're helping in a commerce way. So you guys are very important to us, and we rarely have red tape issues. So I was really upset with us. I saw it, I perceived it, I thought we had enough space. I didn't even like on the purchase that corner, like little pond thing. It was like, I was like, I don't like that.
That's a little, I think that's a little detention pond, because I talked to the engineer who, and that really wouldn't count, necessarily as a wetland.
Yeah, it's still scary, when you're worried about it. I don't know if a turtle family's in there or not, you know what I mean? It just worried me. So we are concerned in that regards. And as soon as we got the letter, and as soon as we did get the letter, I immediately went out and purchased hundreds and hundreds of feet of hay sock. And when you guys drive by, the entire right side now, I have completely hay sock so we can
Yeah.
Impede on any runoff that could actually make it. There's a lot of vegetation and tall vegetation between those areas of risk and where we stopped. And again, I made that executive decision. We were like, do we pave all the way back to our property line? And I was like, absolutely not. We'll get way too close to their property. And I did understand the concern with the bog. So we don't want to be on any bad page with you guys. Anything we need to do, we're ready to adhere.
Perfect. He's willing to do an NOI.
So
Do
let's-
that, give us a set of drawings.
Right, we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
All right.
Fix it,
All right.
and we'll
Fair
figure
enough.
it out. You don't need a motion for that, just.
No, I don't think so.
Tell me the
Nope.
business.
Nope.
Appreciate
Perfect.
you guys' time.
All right.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a suggestion? Since Sarah Stearns is the only one here, instead of holding her up while we go through the rest of this nonsense on this list?
The only thing is, Craig, just real quick for the transfer of the Bunny's Road. Parcel's right?
Oh, all right, let
you
Craig
just
do
wanna
Bunny's
take
Road,
one,
and then we'll deal
Yeah.
with Sarah, so she's not here till midnight.
All right, we'll do the transfer.
Go
Be
ahead.
real quick.
Are you done? Motion to accept the transfer?
Yeah,
Well, we're gonna do it.
I know.
Anybody figure out what's going on with the shed that was built on on that land? Did anybody go down and look?
No.
That the one with the shed?
Yeah, that's what I haven't gone down to see
Yeah,
it myself.
We need to go down.
You wanna go down and look at that?
Yeah, we do want to go down, okay.
Supposedly,
Shed?
the abutter put a shed on property that isn't his.
Oh,
That's what
the
I'm. That's
very
what I was
plot that
hearing
they're trying to give
from.
us.
That, well, that's what I was
Scored
hearing.
a shed, yeah.
That's what I was hearing from a resident, but I haven't actually gone down to see it myself.
Okay.
Okay.
So my name is Craig Schoaf. I'm the Assistant Finance Director and Assessor
know.
for the town of Carver. Well, some people don't.
Hey, no.
So this parcel, 109 BB5, was taken as a land of low value parcel by the town in November of 2019. The tax lien was put on for FY06 taxes, and the state gave us the right to foreclose pending an auction back, I want to say maybe about 5 years ago. And so we had to do an auction in November 2019 to complete the tax taking process. It's very similar to the Wyndham Shores property. It's deeded to some of the residents to have access to the pond. Some of the residents that don't necessarily abut any of the ponds down that way.
Across the street.
Yeah, or across the street.
Yeah.
It's about just under 3,500 square feet, and it is a path for the interior residents to get to the pond.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it goes to the pond,
Okay.
definitely.
Need a motion?
I would like to have a motion, yeah, we should
Well-
probably do it
Motion
right away.
to,
Wouldn't it have to go before town meeting
why?
to move it from the custodianship of the treasurer collector's office?
Or does it?
Select board has to give it
I
to
think
us.
select
You
board-
gotta give it to the select board, and actually, they gotta give it to us.
Yeah.
We
Gotcha.
can't-
So we can work on
I
that.
don't think we can take it. I think you have to give it to the select, I may be wrong.
I think
Well, no, that's the way it worked with the
Yeah.
properties on
Yeah.
Crystal Lake
Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Goes to the
and
select-
Bates.
and Bates Pond.
And
So,
It's gotta, you gotta transfer it to the select board, the select board can then give it to us.
Okay. Yeah, I
It
can.
doesn't have to go to town meeting?
No, for what?
No, I don't, no, the other ones didn't, I don't think, did they?
the other ones did go to town meetings.
Yeah.
They were on town meeting,
Sarah
this,
was-
and one of them was withdrawn because
Right.
of something that was missing.
Yeah, I think they did, I don't know.
But yes, she did, because she came to us to present them
Right.
before she put it on the warrant.
Yep.
But I don't think this instance needs to. How long have we had this since?
We've had this as a town possession since November 2019. So
Well-
year and a
Just
half.
foreclosed on it?
Yeah. We had to put it up for the auction, and as of the auction date, that's technically the foreclosure
And it
date.
didn't sell.
Did not sell.
So I think that's the end of having to go to town meeting.
Oh, maybe.
Well, I don't know the answer to that.
sure
And
is.
I don't think that we're the ones who decide that. I think we decide whether we want it and
Well, we want it, so
and
that's.
where it
solves
comes
that
from,
problem.
who it comes from can be figured out.
I'm kinda liking to want to take
Yeah,
the
we can find
201
out.
Tremont.
Yeah, Brooke and I can work on getting it through the right proper channels, but
Right.
we can ultimately get it from treasurer collector's
So I think
custodianship
I
to
think we
Concom.
go with the motion that we want it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
whoever gives it to us, we'll take it.
Take it.
All right,
I
so.
think it has to go to the select board. I think the
I
select
think
board
it
can
does
give it to
too.
us. I don't believe town meeting has to be involved in it because it did not sell at the auction.
Okay. Yeah, we'll,
Town meeting had to approve it, the other properties, because there was maybe a value in it. This is an unbuildable, useless lot.
No, just a right away.
Right.
Has no value. No one can, even the abutter can't buy it because then the residents can't get to the water.
Right.
So it has to remain vacant and open, so it would naturally fall into the purview of
So if
conservation.
it becomes ours, then that shed, we.
Oh, yeah, what about
tell
the
them to Get
shed?
rid of the shed.
Well, you could, or we could charge them rental.
There you
You
go.
can use it.
Or we can move it, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Put it somewhere where we need it.
Look great right behind the new house on Lakeview.
Yeah.
Lakeview.
I need a
Thank you.
shed of my own.
Okay,
Okay,
so
thanks, Craig.
we have a
Thanks,
motion.
Greg.
We need a motion.
We have a motion.
I'll talk to you
You
about
made the
it.
motion. We need a second that we want.
Second.
I would like.
All right, it's been moved and second that we want this property when it becomes available. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Passed.
Thank you, Craig.
No one
Thanks,
opposed?
Craig. Anyone opposed? No.
If we had known that, we'd have done it first.
What's that? No, this was the two down from that, the transfer parcel.
Okay.
So we did that.
What happened to Bunny's Road Foul?
We're skipping over that so we can get to Sarah.
Okay.
Those will be
But
quick.
Sarah would like to not be here till midnight.
Yeah.
Well, I have a short
Lean probably
commute,
needs
so
to get.
But we're fun.
So.
We are fun, there's no doubt about it.
it has been fun tonight.
Yeah, you have to listen to all
Well,
that.
when you get some colorful, applicants, and of course, then Dan hates everybody, so.
Poor Jan.
Now what do we give it?
Okay.
As we mock what we don't understand.
Oh.
The dumb truck driver, you know that.
Go.
This is the Carver Wareham solar, right?
Do you want big plans? or
370
little
Tremont?
plans? Big or little?
370 Tremont, yes.
Do we have a DEP number yet?
Big or little, yep.
Um,
23.
It's not on here.
I know it's not on the agenda, it's on the order.
What is it?
23?
You want big plans or little?
Yes, I want big plans.
Big plans, please.
It's a big project, isn't it?
It's,
370 Tremont Street.
Big projects need big plans.
yeah, it's the first one of the continued hearings. Okay.
Anytime today would be good.
What's the SC number? What's the number? The DEP number?
623.
Okay, thanks.
Come on, give me some help, will you?
I'm trying to.
I am woman, hear me roar.
Oh,
You wanted the vote.
Oh!
come on, I'm tired. Here you go. You hand them up.
Oh, thanks. Can you use lighter paper next
Oh,
time?
I've got-
No,
Sit.
we cannot.
You got the small one.
No.
That's Sarah's fault.
I sent a lot of the 11 by
Sarah-
17.
Sarah's
Yeah, look,
small.
the little ones are better. Yeah.
Hey, we'll share. I can share with you.
Ellen yelled at
It's
me.
much better than the teeny tiny ones. where you need
See,
to
I
magnify.
like the little ones.
Well, Peg, I like to send both because everyone likes different sizes.
Well,
so-
Alan yelled at me because I didn't have a big one.
Okay.
So I've learned my lesson.
Well, some people prefer the small ones because they can fit.
Oh, sure. I get the little one.
Oh.
You complain less.
Okay, ready.
This is the one we're gonna sign, by the way, if we start approving, because it's smaller.
Good idea.
Good evening, everyone. Sarah Stearns with Beals and Thomas, and with me is Ian Ward from New England Consulting. We are here to discuss at a continued hearing Rocky Maple Solar Project on 370 Tremont Street in Carver. If you all recall from our last meeting, this is a dual-use solar project on the Meredith property, split between Carver and Wareham. I forgot my easel, I apologize, but this is the revised plan that shows the layout. We've made only a few minor tweaks based on our last discussion. Alan, you'll be happy to know that we got our DEP file number like the day after the hearing. Or it was like 1 or 2 days or something. I emailed Brooke, I'm like, well, we
It's
just
only
got...
for the next guy that comes in behind.
I know,
How does this work?
I know. Well, we had some work to do anyway, so it was fine. In the DEP file number issuance, there were a couple of comments from the Southeast region that we wanted to address in this revised plan set in addition to what we talked about at our last hearing. So essentially, I'll run through them just to bring you up to speed, but essentially what DEP asked for is a tabulation of temporary impacts from using mats for vehicles during construction to put the posts on the bogs. So what we need to do and what we're doing on other projects is laying out the mats to protect the cranberry vines. DEP is considering that a temporary impact because they're on the vines themselves. So we provided a number. Essentially, we just have this matting that we roll out. You know, the vehicle drives out and puts the racking in place, and then everything moves to the next aisle, and the mat gets picked up and put into the next aisle.
Is that what it is? It's a rollout mat?
That's what we're using.
So I assume it's a plastic material?
For the excavator, there's 2 different types of the matting.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the timber matting.
Well, these are both plastic,
Oh.
but they're these are the mats that they would use, that Eversource would use in the right-of-ways.
Yes.
Going across. So these are those for the excavator, and then the next time it'll be thinner mats that we use on the bogs anyway when we're bringing skid steers out. That's for the more hand work.
Right.
That they'll be when they put the panels up.
Yeah.
Skid steers are they track machines or are they wheel machines on the skid steers?
They're mostly, we're trying to get all track machines.
Yeah, so much less ground impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very minor, honestly, and to quantify the impact from the mats, I mean, the whole purpose of the mat is to protect
It's to keep the impact.
the vines and the bog, you know, a minimized impact, but we essentially just took a measurement that made sense based on what we're doing at our other projects on Tremont Street and Rochester Road, and it's about 10 feet wide, 250 feet long, you know, give or take. So 2,500 feet, that gets moved around So,
Anybody calculate a weight per square foot?
not that I know of, do you?
Because if you look at a skid steer spec, like my mini excavator, the ground pressure is like 4.5 pounds per square foot because of the track.
Yep.
You do that in a wheel loader and, it's 470 pounds per square foot because of the footprint of the tire.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference.
Makes sense.
These mats, just so you know, because you're curious, these mats, we're actually doubling up, and we're having two mats per track for the drilling.
I mean, it's important for these projects because these vines need to be viable for
Right.
this project to continue. So it's not like, we can go out on these bogs and oops, there's some damage. Like, we really need to minimize the damage. And it has to be, efficient and quick, and then get that machinery out of there and get the mats out of there. So it behooves everybody to keep things moving. And
I assume you pile drive in the stanchions, right?
yeah,
So that way you're not digging anything. Just
Correct.
driving them in.
yep. Yep.
Fast, quick, easy, and it's the least
Sorry,
invasive way to do it.
Yeah, it is. It's minimally invasive.
Yeah.
So, that's we just need to communicate that with DEP. They kind of get stuck on the regulatory checkboxes. So anyway, so we thought that was a fair assessment of a temporary impact. So that's the one of the comments. The other comment that pertains to this that we felt that we needed to address was that they're requiring mitigation, in-kind mitigation. So we have tabulated an impact to the BVW, the bog, based on a calculation of the largest posts that we can envision using, and then multiplied by how many posts we think are going to be out there. So in Carver, it's somewhere on the order of 500 square feet. Altogether with Wareham, it's like 1,800 square feet total of impact to bog. So
you're making more bog.
yeah, so the good news is what we've proposed, and on
You know how
sheet,
small 1,800 square feet of bog is?
I know,
500 is worse.
on sheet C46 in your revised plan set, just to give you a sense, we're proposing to essentially square off one of these bogs. This is a wetland bog, and our replication area is closer to 6,000 square feet.
Oh.
Really just because it made more sense for the grower and the area to take advantage of that. So it's a 3-to-1 replication to impact ratio. So I would hope that DEP would be satisfied with that, and we wanted to include that on the record plan set so that you have that information as well. So it is, kind of a neat and tidy thing now that it strictly it exceeds the requirements for work in the resource area, a manipulated resource area, but it's still technically a resource area with the requisite replication. And then the other items that we adjusted was what we talked about at our last hearing, where we adjusted the fencing and the battery pad, the equipment pad, up in this area that Mr. Chairman brought up, to allow better access in the harvest area for the ag operation. And we actually pushed the fence out to the exterior, as far out on the exterior road as possible, wherever we could, just to make sure we allowed for that. Realistically, the fence is gonna sort of end up maybe slightly different than what we're showing it. This is approximate anyway. This is our best approximation. I'm sure there are going to be some areas where once we're out there installing, we say, oh, actually, we should move this 10 feet this way. That's going to make life a lot easier, or what have you. So, it's an approximation, but we wanted to make sure we address that because it was a good catch by Savory in that kind of a tight spot out there in that particular corner.
A lot of fence.
Yeah. It is.
A lot of fence.
It's a lot of fence.
But it makes the most amount of sense, because you're gonna come through one gate off the street and you're on the property.
Yeah, then you're just
You're not
in.
running through segments,
Yep.
so you're not screwing up the wildlife either.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, there are chain link fences around each of the equipment pads within, just for safety and keeping people and critters out of there. We don't want anybody to be able to pass through there, and those will be gated and locked with Carver and Wareham fire locks, so they can get at them if need be. But that was it. Those were it for changes. We did get the file number. We've addressed those comments, and that's what the revised plan set shows. Do you want to add anything else, Ian?
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, but not really dealing with our decision. I'm curious too, on the mats that you said, they're 250 feet long?
That's the length that we're going.
Okay.
They're
No, they're not.
actually, they're like,
Oh, yeah, I know, but, okay, but that's your max. I guess my question is, and really more curiosity than anything else, how many poles can you do in a day?
we're hoping to find that out.
Okay,
So really, there's, just from a logistics perspective, we're learning in week 1 and week 2 here, how this goes, but there's a crew that does the mats.
And he's referring to the Tremont Street project that's currently under
Yeah.
construction. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
But the one you and I looked at
Yes.
yesterday, they were putting those poles in like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like,
yeah,
Very quickly.
There's not gonna be down there for like a week.
No, I mean, it's like a hot knife
what I-
through butter.
oh,
Yeah.
the pole went right
Yeah,
in.
you're driving a pole in the
And they do
sand.
either side and then move the mats 2 away and
We're
do it
looking-
again?
We're looking at a day or 2.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah,
for
that's,
these mats. And then we're just because we're being very sensitive about the next phase that comes in, for the electrical work and the panel work, we're using the thinner mats.
Right.
And we're experimenting at UMass right now at the experiment station, how long we can leave those mats down without there being an issue
Oh,
with
any
the vines.
damage, huh?
So, is it 2 days, is it 5 days? What if we flip them over?
Are they solid?
They're solid.
The solid, they don't have permeable holes in them?
No, not these. I mean, these are like manufactured to be stiff.
Right.
But a question is, if they're here and we just flip them over to here and these vines can breathe, is that good enough? Right, so we're experimenting right now at UMass with that in mind, and we will let you know.
Interesting.
way
You know,
back
actually, in
when.
the Midwest, another useless fact that for some reason I know this.
Nickel knowledge.
They have fencing competitions, and they have crews that come in and put up fencing, and they time them, and they compete. And some come in with skid steer loaders and pile drivers, others come in with other equipment that they have, and they go through the fastest way to erect a fence for a ranch, and they have to string it and the whole bit, and they compete. This becomes a competition, like a Paul Bunyan kind of a competition, so, you know.
Wow.
That's how I know about the mats and stuff like that. And I've seen skid steers, they have a unit now that the whole mat assembly rides up on a giant roll. And as the skid steer runs along, it rolls itself out. It rolls out the road.
Wow.
Then it can go, and then as it backs up, it rolls it back into it. So it's
That'd
crazy.
be nice. That'd be awesome.
Back in the day, they used to have panel railroad tracks that they'd throw out on the bogs and run tip carts out and
Oh, yeah.
little gas-powered motors. H.R. Bailey used to manufacture them where Cranebrook is.
Mm-hmm. Very
You
cool.
still see some guys put down plywood and stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, but these are railroad tracks, like model railroad tracks. They all went together and got bolted together, and they were very portable and protected the vines underneath as well.
I
I
think
mean-
it's great.
Not saying you
Yeah.
should put a railroad in.
Right, right.
99% of this, I think it's great, is because we happen to have some trust in the presenters. And
Yeah.
and I'll
Thank
say
you.
that publicly.
Thank you.
I have never known, in the time that I've known you, I've never known you to come and not tell us exactly what was what, and then not follow through on exactly what you said.
Makes a difference.
All right, so I will entertain a motion.
Well,
Motion to close the hearing
All right,
for 370 Tremont Street, NOI SE 126-623.
okay, a second. It's been moved and seconded to close the hearing on 370 Tremont Street. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
I make a motion to approve the NOI for 370 Tremont Street, SE 126-623, as drawn on the plans dated, the latest revision, June 14th, 2021.
Second?
Second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI for SC 126-623 with the plans dated 6/14/2021.
I make a motion, we approve the variance for 370 Tremont Street, NOI SE 126-623,
Second?
as drawn on the plan dated June 14th, 2021. This will be the plan we'll sign, unless you want to do a big plan. Doesn't matter to me.
No, we'll do a small plan.
Do a small.
We have the older big plan. I mean, this will go in the record, but we'll sign the small one. Second, with Peg seconded. All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the variance for 370 Tremont Street. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, approved unanimously.
I'm gonna sign the front cover, and I'm just gonna initial.
Okay.
Until next time.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Remember what I said, it's because of the presenter.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
it's gotta get across to people that we're not such bad guys. We just don't like it when we're lied to, and we feel like we're being lied to, and that just makes it worse.
Every time I leave a meeting with the two of you here, I feel like I've been to school.
Yeah. I don't know, I think you have to watch out for Ian. Sarah's okay, he's a
Just so
little
I'm
shady.
consistent, it's not because of the presenter, who I do like, but I like the project.
I do too.
And I bought
think we all
a
do.
different Segway. I got bigger tires on the new Segway, by the way.
Ian, you made reference to a installation that's ongoing now on Tremont Street?
Yes.
Who's
Oh, go take a
whose
look.
box is it?
That's, Mark Weston's barn.
Mark, okay.
Yep.
And what number?
It's the one, you go right next to where we were today, right next to 318, you go in that side road, and it's down in the back.
Yeah, it wraps around the cement plant.
I knew you wanna go, you could go take a look at it, Jim.
Okay, so it's
What's that, Wayno?
Behind Barry Guys.
Wayno Weston?
Barry Guys.
Wayne-
Very Guy's restaurant, yeah.
Wayneo and Weston, yeah.
Yeah.
adjacent.
Yeah, exactly. We're
There you
starting
go, boss. I signed one
in the
and I
back,
initialed
so
everything.
we can get our cakes out, and then when it becomes, we'll be a well-oiled machine by the time we get.
We want them to sign this.
Everyone will see it.
I do, actually. I'd
Yes.
like to
I'm
have-
thrilled that's ongoing.
Sarah, would you sign the top copy of this, just so that it's the same one, so that,
Jim, there'll be plenty of time to see this.
please?
They'll be out there.
Could take some pictures.
Yeah, just on it so that.
Oh, on the plan?
you're
On the plan, yeah,
so
because
that-
this becomes the plan,
so
that's
you can't say to us,
the
well, you guys
record.
changed the plan on me. Because maybe we'd change the plan on you, you never
Yeah.
know.
So despite everything Alan said, he really doesn't trust you.
Yeah, kind of getting that sense now.
One second, I just got one more page to initial.
I bought a bigger Segway.
Here,
Did you?
It's the same one, but it's
just,
got bigger
just sign
wheels
up
on
here,
it.
yeah, you can sign on, right on the top,
Supposedly,
yeah,
it's
that's
got
fine.
off-road tires, don't ask me.
That's good. Now you
So it goes a little faster, too.
Now you go do all your site
And
work.
what's today, the 16th?
Yes,
Well, now we got two, so Jean and I go riding on them.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently it's
Yeah, we
digital
should go
now.
all over the
yeah,
place.
thank you.
She was scared to death, she's got me
Your
good at it.
patience.
Uses your old one?
Yeah,
There you go.
thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Sarah, I'll give you a call on
Bye,
the
Ian.
other thing. All right,
Great, thank you.
thanks, Ian.
Have a good night, all. Thanks.
You wanna keep going with are we, what's going on with Center Street and Wenham Road?
Huh?
Huh?
I don't know.
Are they continued?
Same thing, yeah, continue.
Continue.
So
Okay,
we get rid of them, we can go
I think
back to the
Center
other
Street,
page.
Center Street's still waiting to go to zoning, I think, as far as I know.
okay. All right, let's go back.
Back to Bunny's Road follow-up.
Bunny's Road
But
follow-up.
I got a email from Darlene Whittemore today. They finished cleaning everything up. They're just waiting for one dumpster to come and get rid of the rest of that stuff.
Okay,
Okay, good.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Appoint to CPC.
Dan?
I, got sworn in,
Perfect.
for that.
Okay,
Yeah, they wanted to know who was gonna be on the CPC from Concom, and I had said Dan but they weren't sure if Dan was gonna rejoin, and when Dan rejoined, I said, well, he's gonna be the CPC guy, and then there was confusion. So we are now,
I guess we have to, do we have to decide if,
Well, I don't know that we decided we wanted you.
well, that's.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Where did you get that opinion?
It
I mean,
doesn't
you're
have
already
to be.
sworn in and everything.
It doesn't have to be.
Well, no, that's up, no.
Listen, the man stepped up, he wants to do the job, mazel tov.
Here you
Yeah.
go. Bit of okey doke.
You
Yeah,
got
I-
my okey dokey on that. I got
think,
enough going on.
I think we're fine. I don't think we have to vote on that. I
Yeah.
think we're fine on
I
that.
think we should vote on it
I
because
do
it.
too.
yeah,
Okay,
we-
all
I
right.
make a motion that Dan Badger be our representative on CPC,
Second?
Is that good?
All right, all those,
CPC.
community.
Community Preservation Commission.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sucker.
That was easy.
All right.
That was easy.
17 Wareham Street.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's that ongoing one.
Oh, that's the,
neighbors
no, the wood, the
complaint.
logs.
So I did drive by one day, and he had some big trees, piled on that bog, fairly right up to near the parking lot.
Yep,
So,
where they've been for a while.
right, and that was all I saw. So, I mean,
This isn't,
it just keeps complaining. I just don't know what
Yeah.
to do about it.
Is this the,
It's after Seaford Street, the house tucked in the back.
Yeah, it's the,
this
it's,
is the one?
yeah,
Yeah.
We're still having problems with this?
we're still getting
We're
complaints.
having problems with the person who complains. He has written letters and.
Well, that's the abutter,
Right. And he's still, we're still trying to figure out the whole thing about the wood processing, what does he do, and nobody can figure that out. So he keeps doing stuff.
He's
And
not supposed to be actually doing it, right? Because he's
Not
in an
supposed to be
RA
doing any of it.
district.
I
The
think
whole
it's- I
thing's
don't-
within 200 feet of, we went through this.
I
It's
know.
within 200 feet of the riverfront up to his driveway,
I know.
almost to his house.
Right.
And he
Right, but we
continues
allowed him to maintain that embankment
Yeah.
into the old bog area.
Yeah.
And we allowed him to keep wood on that far end, as far away from the river as
Yeah.
Which is
possible.
all
And that's
that-
what he's doing.
Which is what I saw. It's
If that's
just-
what he's doing, then you know what?
We've investigated and we're fine
Right,
with what
right,
he's,
okay.
he's obeying what we
Pass
asked him
out
to
the
do.
dueling pistols
Yeah.
and tell him to settle it.
He's still not replanted the dike area, though, that's supposed to, in the 200 feet. where he
Yeah,
cut
that's
it all
right.
down.
He had cut that all down, but
Yeah.
I thought we decided if he left that alone, it would just grow back. I'm not,
I think what we wanted him to do is to plant trees on the road that went around.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
as
and
like
he
a
hasn't done it,
screen,
as far as I can
Yeah,
as like a screening kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
can you
I
just
could-
maybe remind him?
Yeah, I could find out from him, remind him of that. I
Yeah.
thought that he had, for some reason. I thought we went out and saw he had planted some
I
stuff.
think he put some in along the embankment, but not in the road. I thought we asked him to put them on
I
the
don't
road.
remember us telling him to
Okay.
do the bog road, but okay.
Yeah, all
Maybe
right.
we did.
All right. I'll remind him of that.
Okay, 5 Johns Pond Road follow-up.
Oh, okay, I talked to Tony. Remember, we wanted
Yeah.
him to come back. So I told him, I figured if he's gonna file an 0710, he really needs to get an as-built plan to show what it is he did without, so that's just gonna take him a little while. I gave him a couple of engineers' names, and he's gonna do that.
Okay.
So he is gonna file, an after the fact, but he just needs to get a plan.
All right, request for an extension, 3 to 4 Park Avenue, 3-4, not 3-2,
Yep.
3-4.
That's the one we looked at today.
We looked at that today.
What do they need?
They just
Where the
need
hell
to
is Park
finish,
Avenue?
finish doing what they've, like finish cleaning up the piles and stuff, they just need a little more time. So because the order was gonna expire, they just need an extension on
Where the hell
the,
is Park Avenue?
It's a redevelopment.
Oh, the RDA?
The URP.
Oh.
and they're, getting rid of all the debris and the.
Yeah, they chipped all the wood that was, all the logs that were in the big pile up by
Yeah.
the red building. Those are all chipped.
Yeah.
They have all the concrete, both the columns that had rebar and the blocks,
Yeah,
all in one area to, they're waiting to see if they are going to be able to grind them and reuse them.
Crush it on site?
Yeah. So, and there may be some that's stress-loaded, which they wouldn't be able to do that with.
Yeah, they'll still be able to crush through it, because then as it comes out the other end, the magnet takes away the metal.
Yeah,
yeah, so this doesn't change anything on the order, just extending it so they can finish up.
right. So I'll entertain a motion to grant the extension for 3-4 Park Avenue.
So moved.
Second?
Second,
All right, we've been moved and seconded to grant the request for an extension for 3-4 Park Avenue. DEP 126-597. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
This says
None.
547. This extension says 126-547. This says 126-597.
Let me
Take a
check,
peek
let me look,
before we sign it.
yeah. Let me make sure, because I think it's 5. That says 547, I think it is 547, actually. It is 547,
Okay, so the paper here is wrong.
yeah.
Can you modify that,
Was that on the agenda?
Yes.
97? No, yeah, it's 47.
can you modify that motion, or I'll modify the motion?
So it is 5.
All right,
Approve the request for an extension, 3 to 4 Park Avenue, DEP 126-547.
second? We have a second? All right.
Second.
All right, a revote, changing the DEP number, request, all those in favor of granting the request for an extension, 3-4 Park Avenue, DEP 126-547, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Hearing none, approved unanimously. Request for certificate of compliance, 4 Andrews Point Road, DEP 126-598. We were out there today, it looked good.
Yep.
Um,
The only thing he has left to do is to just finish doing some work on the building, like putting.
I'm assuming
windows
he
and stuff.
jumped through every hoop we asked him to jump through. That was the porch that was the
Yes.
the open porch that was turned into a
Yeah.
room.
Yep, but everything that had to be done within our jurisdiction has already been done.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He's waiting on windows and doors to finish
The building is seated and-
the building
I don't have,
because of delays in everything in the world
And
today.
everything's been planted and everything.
I didn't see it, so let somebody else make that motion.
All right,
So move.
all right, we have a motion from Jim. We have a second? Second from Dan. All those in favor to approve the COC for 4 Andrews Point Road, DEP 126-598, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved unanimously. There's something that I just want to bring up. I just want to mention a couple of things that I would like to have placed on our next agenda, and something to
For the 7th.
to take care of before then. Number one, I would like to try to arrange a meeting with Alan Decker
Yep,
of the,
for Lakeview.
yes, of the Buzzards Bay Coalition to meet us for a site visit at 44 Lakeview Street.
Yep.
So we can pick his brain on things that he might do, or the Buzzards Bay Coalition might
Yep.
do.
Some ideas, what.
Some ideas of, if they owned it, what would they do?
Yep,
And so that we can come back and discuss some of those ideas when we meet again on July 7th.
yep,
That's one thing I would like to have on the
okay, so I'll set it up with him.
agenda. A second thing I would like to have on the agenda, and this may be something, Alan, that you would be best at, or could find the answers more easily than the rest of us. As we know, we're getting parcels of land donated to us as Conservation Commission. We've gotten the ones on Wenham, on Crystal Lake. We're gonna get the ones on Wenham. We have now this one on Bunny's Road. Now granted, they're not large parcels, but they're ours, and they're going to need maintenance. So I know that there is a maintenance fund for conservation that comes out of the town. The questions that I have are, do we know how much is in that? Is it an annual add to? And what is the process as we gain more properties that may need maintenance? What is the process for expanding our yearly amount?
How can we get more money?
Well, we have more property, it just makes sense that
Right.
that it should follow suit.
Right.
So I'd like to get, I don't know where we stand with, I don't know how much money we have, I don't know how we get it.
I'm not exactly sure, I can find out.
Okay, that's just something, so we have an idea of what to do going forward on,
I
some.
think a lot of the maintenance of the open space is probably gonna fall back under
DPW? Right.
But that's gonna put an additional burden on DPW. So that may require, maybe they need some piece of equipment, maybe they need, we do it. Obviously, the maintenance is gonna be more in the summertime.
Yes.
When they have some part-time summertime help, this might be perfect.
Yes.
Maybe we can use that maintenance fund to hire a couple of kids out of school, and have this be part of their summer project and pay them a couple bucks. Maybe we can find some scouts that wanna do it and buy their lunch and
What about the prisoners? Do we ever have a chance to utilize them?
No, I don't think you can do that anymore. I think
No?
that there's something
Yeah.
weird is going on with that, and I don't believe you can,
They used to love their little
yeah, I don't
outings.
think you can do that I think, unless you're picking up trash on the side of the road, I think that's the end of the story. I don't think you,
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Trail cruises not happening.
and I can only imagine what residents would happen if they saw the Department of Corrections and 4 guys in orange jumpsuits get out of their vehicle and start cleaning up the property right beside somebody's house. I'm not sure that would go over real big.
Yeah, but they used to do savory, they
Yeah,
did
no, I agree.
council on
You get
aging.
and usually
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
like they're not hardened criminals. These are
No.
community service people that have to do, you know,
Yes.
they were bad boys and got their wrists
Yeah.
slapped, and, you know, you had to go do 100 hours of community service and stuff.
Exactly,
What I will do is I'll reach out to the sheriff and find out.
yeah,
The other thing to look at is.
I'll ask Joe. In fact, I'll see Joe next week.
good.
The other thing I was gonna ask if we could look into is, any type of, in-kind labor that would normally, cost DPW operating cost dollars, but something where there are clubs or organizations that want to, participate in a regular, cleanup, with regular cleanup crews, whether it be the Conservation Trails Stewards Group, or whether it be, some regulated thing like that, where you actually have, safety considerations already in place, but they're offsetting the cost of what would come out of DPW's budget.
So this is really it's gonna become a big deal, because, like you just said, as we wind up with more and more and more conservation property, Lakeview, for instance, who's mowing the grass?
No one right now, but
Yeah.
Dan had some.
Yeah,
So-
I was just gonna say, is it okay if I go over there and deal with it?
I'll go, let me know when you're going, and I'll meet you over there. I got a 52-inch riding. I bought a Gravely for the house, so.
That's great, cause as you know, I'm truckless right now.
Well, I mean,
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
as
don't have
far,
a problem helping out. I can do that on a, do that on a
Right.
Saturday,
As far
or
as-
do that after work.
as far as Lakeview is concerned, I was just thinking that the front of the house and the side of the house towards the Council on Aging should probably be mowed, just so it looks like.
Well, they're having their open house at the COA.
Yeah,
So that would be a
Saturday.
good idea to have, try to get that cleaned up a little bit.
yeah, yeah, so, but, I know that conservation land is separate from regular DPW, but we do have we do have
maintenance fund.
a maintenance fund. Now, can that maintenance fund be transferred to DPW as a
I
payment?
don't know. That I gotta find out more about. The last,
That's-
I wanna say we had like, $90,000 in that fund. If that's the case, then,
Okay.
we can hire Julio's landscaping service.
Right, but I'm looking more for the consistency of funding. How is it funded?
That
Not,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know what mechanism puts that money in there.
And do we need to have some kind of ratio of, if we're getting, let's say, $1,000 a year for 1,000 acres, if now all of a sudden we have 1,500 acres, can we
I
get?
wanna say that I think that some of that money was funded by a percentage out of the fees.
Oh, what are the wetlands?
Okay.
Out of the
Oh, I think it is.
NOI,
I think it is.
out of the NOI filing
Yeah.
fees, I think that some of that money is funneled back in, or if not the entire amount, is funneled back in
I know it can be used for
Okay.
that.
to that account.
All right, well, I think it would be, if all of us knew how that worked, I think it would be helpful.
Yeah, no, the wetlands fund can definitely be used for that. I've asked.
Oh, I know
the
it
CC
can.
about that.
I think it's just general knowledge that we should all have.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty sure that the bulk of the money that's in there is funded from the applications.
applications.
From the
yeah,
resident.
it probably is.
All right, I guess,
Motion to accept the minutes?
Hey, do you
as-
have-
Excuse me, I would like to make a correction on the minutes, please.
go right ahead.
Okay, under 5 Johns Pond Road, where it said said that we could allow pushing of debris into the pond.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Just
didn't even notice that.
Just clarify that, I think that, as Alan pointed out, that we would allow it to remain because altering it would
Would
cause
be
more
more
damage, and we
disturbing.
were just gonna let Mother Nature take over since it was
Right.
all natural materials. However you wanna word that, actually, but we do not push debris into a pond.
No.
But this was we would allow the debris to remain by the pond.
Right.
Because removing it would do more harm than good.
Yeah.
I'd remove the word pushing.
Okay?
Yeah.
By allowing the debris in its present location.
Yep.
I
That
think
sounds
that's what
good.
your intent was.
Thank you, yes.
I don't think it had anything to do with it being pushed
No,
toward
not
the
pushed into the
pond.
pond.
That's fine.
So can we change that to allowing, you know where we're at, Ashley? Change it to, can include allowing the existing debris to remain in place. Fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to amend your motion?
So I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as printed with the amendment, as amended.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Badger, second. Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes of May 19th, 2021 as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Got
Second.
my things signed, things?
Calm down.
Oh, shut up.
They're working
Here's
on it.
one.
You'll go home with it. for
Here's
Christ's
one
Fran
back.
and Fran wanna go home. I'm trying to make
Um,
this fast.
sake. I just
Motion and second to adjourn.
I don't want you to go home.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. We're out. Thank you.